Yeah. Today I have the pleasure of introducing Chris Gamm-Smith and Kelly Jefferson. Chris is the Executive Director of NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness. Pronounced NAMI like Tommy is what I was told when I started joining. I'm wearing my t-shirt today from their walk, always a big event, and thanks to the folks here who were sponsors. I know Busey Bank was a sponsor for this one. But they've been doing some great mental health. Kristine has done, we actually worked together back at Community Counseling Center in Alton many years ago. So I'm going to let her fill in and challenge you guys. On your table is a list of 10 things to do to promote mental health awareness during the May Mental Health Awareness Month. She's going to talk a whole lot about it, but I'd like you to walk out of here with some real practical things that you can do to help.
Well, being short, let's see, I'll try to get this tilted this way. Okay. Yeah, so I have to go way down. But anyway, it's a real pleasure to be here. I appreciate being invited. We love to share what we do and talk about some important points, especially when it comes to what you can do as employers, as people in the community to help in promoting mental health. Actually, the month of May is Mental Health Month, and a lot of special activities go on then. So we have a list, and we'll go over with you, but we'd love to see you help us promote that. Carolyn's been our marketing consultant since like 3 years, and it's really taken us a long way in trying to get the word out about NAMI and what we do. And you have on your table a brochure that identifies all the different programs we have. So I'm not necessarily going to go into all of that, but I wanted to share with you some statistics that I thought you might be important, that might be relevant to you, because mental health in the workplace is a big issue. There's a lot more. There's a fairly reasonable percentage of people who are dealing with things like anxiety, depression. They may have a diagnosis of bipolar or schizophrenia, and they're working because NAMI is about recovery. We know that people can and do recover with a mental illness. It doesn't go away, just like diabetes doesn't go away. You can learn to manage it. You can even come off your medication and be able to live with a good diet and not have to, but you still have to maintain. And in mental health, the different diagnoses that we deal with, which by the way, I'm not here to diagnose. That's not our thing. But we have seen so many people who have been able to grow and learn how to manage their symptoms, and have really been very productive people in the workplace, very creative people. We have a guy who developed our, you may say our mascot, which is the NAMI llama, and that we use. And the reason we chose that is because llamas are compassionate animals, and they are also, they share burdens, and that's kind of what we say we do it now. But I wanted to just share a couple of statistics with you because I thought you might be interested in this. The 73% of workers, oh boy, throw my glasses. Okay, 73% of workers, oh my gosh, I can't read this. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm getting new glasses, so they haven't come in yet. Okay, thank you. 73% of the workers really feel like their employers are starting to be more open to working with them and aware of what's going on, and feel like they're more comfortable in their workplace and not as concerned about people knowing if their bosses knowing that they're struggling or whatever. We have 71% also feel that they really want and need an employment situation where mental health is respected, that it's taking time off of work and when it's necessary is respected, that they have flexible hours to be able to manage, when they do have episodes or sometimes relapse a little bit. But what we find is that most people, once they get into a job, really do well with that, and they're basically controlled with medication if they need it, or they're doing other things to help them stay on track. So the world is changing in that way. It was very hard years ago for people who were living with some kind of mental health condition to even get a job if they were to tell anybody that. And now that's a lot more open, and I really appreciate where that world has come. Our world has come with that. I wanted to share with you a little bit about what you can do as employers and people in the community to help us in getting the word out that people do recover with mental health conditions, that they can live productive and useful lives, and that NAMI is here to help them move forward in their life. That's what it's a journey to recover. It's something that you grow with over time, and just like some things that have ups and downs, but basically you're growing, you're moving forward, and we want people to know that that's what it is. So one of the things that we put some information on the table for those of you who are interested. You're welcome to take it. If you need more, we have some up here. But we one of the things that you can do is on the paper there is our link to our programs and support groups, and we offer that for both adults, people who are living with a mental illness, and people who are families and significant others who are impacted by that illness and really want and need support. We find that support goes a long way. It's one thing, and it's important sometimes for people to go into treatment and see a therapist and maybe even get on medications. But in the long term, people need support to continue to grow and do well. And so our support groups really help with that in promoting their journey to recovery. What I'm really excited about now is that we're starting to serve teens. We have two programs that we are developing, or one is already developed and in progress, and that's called Ending the Silence. And actually we go into schools and we work with high school age students, and we can also work with middle school students. And we have a program which is facilitated. All of our programs are facilitated by volunteers who are highly trained in being able to educate and offer support and lead the groups. And we really love this program because we've been doing it. We did one in Alton Wood River recently. We're looking to expand, but we go into the schools and we share some information on mental health, and we have somebody tell their story about their recovery, so that really elicits hope and encouragement that you can get to a better place in your life, in a productive place. And what we found through doing this program is that students are hungry for more support. And a lot of them open up about anxiety and depression seem to be the biggest issues right now. And that's increased tremendously. And so we are developing a support group for teenagers, and we just received some grant funding to do that. We have a couple of outreach workers that are going out into the community and getting to know the schools, the principals, the social workers, the teachers there, and supporting us being able to talk to the students and share this with them. And we found that it's being very well received. So that's one of our programs. Support group is the other one. So we're really excited about being able to venture into that. NAMI has not been able to serve young people until more in the last several years. And so being able to grow in that way is exciting. You can also invite a speaker or a host or somebody to come to your employment place of employment and or a community group if you're involved, or a church, and be able to speak to them about what mental health conditions are like, what we go through. Kelly's going to speak a little bit and share her story about her own recovery as a parent with a son with mental illness. And it's really exciting to see the growth that we see in people, just like this young man talked about, how long was that? Yeah, and you talked about how you came back and you really recovered in essence with your academic experience. And boy, that's exciting. And the same thing can happen with other young people. You can go to our website, and that's on one of the I think it's in the brochure, and share news about our homepage. We do social media. We really need help in spreading the word. So social media is a great way to do that. And if you would allow us, we can share some really neat things about different ways to understand and look at mental health, and also share the activities we have. And that's really an important way for us to get the word out. You can also become a member of NAMI, which allows you to receive a newsletter that we send out, which is chock full of good information. And you also receive something from NAMI National and their magazine once every quarter. And we really live on support of membership and donations. That's our biggest need in our most effective way to operate is through donations that people send us. And that we do get some government funding, but that's restricted funding, and we have to direct it in a certain way, whereas donations give us more flexibility to work with in other ways with people. That is very helpful. And we have a walk coming up. We have an annual walk, and it's called the Walk for Mental Health Awareness. And we usually have a jazzy little name. Like last time it was what was it? Rally. Yeah, I couldn't get that word out. Rally for mental health. And it's a great time to come together. We have it in Belleville at Moody Park. And it's a way to build awareness and get to know more people who are dealing with these issues, and also just to support our organization. And we look for you to maybe help form teams. It's a beautiful walking path there. You could run too, but we really focus on walking. And we have games for the kids. We have a scavenger hunt. And it's just a fun family time. So really encourage you to think about being part of that. And then you can read more of our ways in which you can help us donate. I don't want to take up too much time because I want Kelly to talk. But really your support in helping us to continue on and grow and serve more people. And we're really very, very active in Madison County, and we want to continue to grow that. So your support really means a lot to us. And just being here today and listening and learning a little bit about who we are, it's great. So I want to thank you again. And I want to introduce Kelly, our director of programs, and she can talk a little bit about her story. Thank you.
Oh, hopefully I don't cry. I typically do. So as Chris said, my name is Kelly Jefferson. I am the program director for NAMI Southwestern Illinois. Approximately 12 years ago, our family was affected by the diagnosis of schizoaffective disorder. Our son was in his sophomore year at SIU and had a psychotic episode involving him to be transferred all the way to Chicago for treatment. Because there were no beds available down here in Southern Illinois for him. Over the course of time, in the first year of his diagnosis, my husband and I were completely lost. As you can imagine, chaos ruled our lives. didn't know what to do. And somehow I got the number for NAMI and was told about a class that's called Family to Family, which teaches families all about mental illness, how to cope, how to empathize with your loved one, how to see them as a person and not just their mental illness. So we went to that class and it was amazing. My husband and I walked in there and there were 21 other people that were there representing their loved ones. And to know that we weren't alone was huge, to know that we weren't the only ones who had to deal with this. So through that, then we got involved with family support group. And we met once a month up here in Edwardsville with a wonderful woman, Pat Rudlaw, who helped us to connect with other people, to strategize different ways that we could build better coping skills, to understand that you can't know what you don't know. And even with my background being a nurse, you know, I carried a lot of guilt. Why didn't I see this sooner in my son? Why didn't I get help sooner? But I wasn't really trained in mental health. I'm a cardiac nurse by trade. I didn't know much about mental health. So I am so appreciative for NAMI. So through our journey, my husband and I became facilitators for support groups, and we currently facilitate one in Collinsville and also one in Macoupin County in Carlinville. And then we also facilitate a family to family course. We try to do that at least twice a year. During COVID, my husband and I were the only ones teaching it in Southern Illinois, and we taught it by Zoom. We taught approximately 7 classes in that two-year time period because so many people were hungry to find out about mental illness and how to cope and how to move forward with their loved one. Now, my son is 31 years old now. He lives with us. He takes his medications regularly. That's huge. That's only been in the last 5 years. He now acknowledges that he does have a mental illness, and but unfortunately, part of his recovery, he has not been able to get back to work or go back to school. He does enjoy reading. He reads theology books. He teaches himself math, different things. But his recovery just looks different, and that's okay with us right now. He tries to do more as his illness allows. On your tables, there's several different things. There's a pamphlet about what is mental illness, about NAMI, about our support groups, how Chris brought up the 10 ways that you can support NAMI. Also, there's another sign-up sheet there. If you don't get that information and you would like more information, please go ahead and sign your name to that. My business card as well as Chris's are there if you ever have any questions or just want to call us independently. I don't know if there's anything else you want to share about this. I do also have a 29-year-old daughter who she was very concerned when my son was diagnosed. She was fearful that she would also have an illness too. She does not at this time. But she was concerned that she'd lost her best friend. He was her protector in school. He was 2 years ahead of her. But through support group and that, she has also realized that she's not alone. She's got other family members who support her and help her. So that's all we have. Do you have any questions? Yeah.
Do you have to tailor the support groups to different, like yours was the schizophrenic? It's just one big support for any kind of mental illness.
Yes, if anyone who's affected in that, it's a family member, a friend, your significant other, and we just open up the meeting. We do what's called a check-in, and you tell a little bit about your loved one and try to stay in the here and now. And then through the conversation and going around the room, my husband guides that, and then I take little notes and try to come up with a common theme for us to talk about. Sometimes it's about how to manage medications. How do we get our loved one to take their medicine? How do we get them to go to the doctor on a regular basis? How do I communicate better with them? How can I get them to understand what I'm feeling? those kinds of things. And then we close the meeting with talking about self-care. Everyone has to go around and talk about what's the one thing you're gonna do separate from your loved one's illness to take care of yourself, to fill yourself up. Yes.
Are there many institutions in the state of Illinois for people that have extreme cases?
No. Maybe a handful, if that. And most of them, none of them are in Southern Illinois. Yes.
Is it common for symptoms to not show themselves till the adult years or something like childhood and stuff pretty normal?
It depends on the diagnosis. For schizoaffective disorder or schizophrenia, typically it affects males sooner in life, usually like my son, textbook, late teens, early 20s. For women, it doesn't affect them until their later 20s because they believe women are able to mask more of what's going on with their lives, that they can hold that down for whatever reason. But the other illnesses like both bipolar, depression, anxiety, that can hit at any point in time. Thank
Is
you.
there any kind of helpline that you guys know of in Illinois for someone who's in crisis and needs?
988.
That's the number.
That's the number. Instead of 911, it's 988. That's the mental health crisis number. And you'll be connected with your local, either police or also Chestnut is very involved too. They go out with police officers. They try to determine, does an officer need to go out? Or can it just be the mental health professional that goes out to help? I wish we would have had that 12 years ago with my son's initial. We had police officers who came. Some were better than others. Most are crisis intervention trained officers, and that's what you want to ask for so that they know what they're walking into. And usually the crew chief or whoever the lead is on the shift will also attend with that officer.
Any other questions? Tim?
I like the brochure very much, a lot of information in there. I guess the thing I find really intriguing is the section dealing with marijuana, hash, THC, and how specifically it says hallucinogenic drug. And here we are legalizing it. Is anybody tracking the rates of mental illness to see if there's any effect on this?
Actually, marijuana has a direct correlation with schizophrenia. Our son did use marijuana when he was in high school. And if you think about, that was probably a street sold drug. So you don't know what it's cut with, if it was sprayed with some sort of chemicals. Now, of course, they have the dispensaries, which are more pure type of marijuana, but they believe that marijuana can cause what's called the second hit. So some of us may have a genetic predisposition to having a mental illness, and then there is what's called a second hit. So either an emotional crisis, a physical crisis, the using of medications that you're not supposed to be using, illegal drugs that can trigger and flip the switch and cause you to have a mental health crisis. Thank you.
Anyone else? I, for one, found this very informative and a very appropriate timing too for mental health awareness month. So